Hello guys, and welcome back to my XRP Coin News channel. Holy crap, when exactly do we start? Increased role of the World Economic Forum. The Great Reset comes at a hefty price. Biden has promised South Africa $8 billion from American taxpayers if the country will abandon its coal power projects. I don't think it's a good idea to send money overseas at this time. The United States has a homeless population. People who fought for our country aren't being properly cared for after they return home. Moreover, we are well aware that any money that leaves the United States ultimately finds its way back to the Democratic Party through a complex web of money laundering. I have zero faith in any of this, and we have no right to dictate policy to other countries. Look at it. The US dollar has become a weapon in our arsenal. What exactly did that lead to? Countries are beginning to abandon the US dollar. Consider the BRICS. Take a look at that. In these troubled times, as if we didn't already have enough problems, we now have to worry about a new category of nasty people, anti-chippers. They are suspicious of everyone and everything and reject scientific evidence. Many subscribe to white nationalist ideology, and their top concern is whether or not having a microchip implanted is truly terrifying. Anti-chippers have many more brain cells than the typical anti-vaxxer. I mean, what's the matter with them now? That chip will never see my hands. What's more, they are already attempting to push this up in Canada, and we know it's coming when you receive the CBDC, the digital ID, the social credit score, and the chip. Anti-chips are the current status quo if you don't want to take the mark of the beast. This sentiment is shared by many who have tried using the chip. They have no interest in taking it and should not be forced to. It shouldn't be another item that's imposed on individuals against their will. But in the future, you'll probably need the chip if you want to make any purchases. A significant shift toward a cashless world is imminent. The European Union is currently through a period of rapid change. Hence why I keep predicting a CBDC will take place in that region. Prior to its release in the United States, we can experience what it's like to live in a CBDC. All cash transactions over EUR 10,000 are set to be made illegal within the European Union in an effort to combat money laundering and terrorism financing. The EU restrictions on large cash transactions will make it more difficult for criminals to launder illicit funds. Cash payments within the European Union are capped at $10,000. The ability to set a lower minimum allows each member state to tailor the policy to its specific needs and preferences. In other words, they are already saying it's okay if you want to lower the limit. They are trying to force an all-digital payment system. The current global trend is in that direction, but it's a classic move from his playbook. Focus on the World Economic Forum. Currently, Klaus Schwab, the WEF founder, can be seen on the left. His father, the businessman and fascist Eugene Schwab, was a close confidant of Hitler's. During Hitler's rule, Klaus was born in Germany in 1938. In my opinion, Klaus had a terrible upbringing and is now seeking vengeance on everyone. Otherwise, how did you think of these stuff? Take a look at his vision for the future of the planet, a universe ruled by him. Now consider this. I've changed my mind on Elon Musk. I appreciate his uninhibited approach to Twitter. A lot of what he has to say resonates with me. But then you look at this and you begin to doubt yourself a little, Elon. That means there is a lot of common ground between Professor Klaus Schwab and Elon Musk. The tax on carbon. The World Economic Forum argues that a carbon tax is essential for addressing climate change. A carbon tax and universal basic income are long overdue, according to Elon. Elon thinks cities should adopt universal basic income. Keep in mind that I support a guaranteed minimum income for all. 3 strategies for convincing people to get the HPV vaccine. Iron injections. Elon says, please understand that I'm a strong advocate for vaccines, even those against COVID. There's no room for debate in the scientific community. Transhumanism. Would you agree to have a microchip implanted in your hand by your company? Elon Musk believes that the most important step toward achieving symbolic symbiosis with machines is the work these people have done in building a neural lace. But then this happened in May, and I got a new perspective on Elon. Seriously, you're going to embarrass this punk bitch named Klaus Schwab by calling him out. Then, if that's the case, I appreciate it. Is it possible to force him to live off of bugs and have nothing of his own? This is a major blow for Klaus Schwab. which Elon Musk has now disclosed. The man accused him of lying. Perhaps Elon's early views were consistent with those of the World Economic Forum, but in recent years, he seems to have distanced himself from that way of thinking. This guy, though, agrees with everything Klaus says. Rich people like Bill Gates. The left continues to harass Elon Musk for his outspoken defense of free speech. This individual joins World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab in addressing the G20. He lacks the education and training to be an engineer, doctor, epidemiologist, or virologist. Unelected, a documented robber, the owner of virus patents and vaccine firms, and a frequent visitor to Epstein's Pedo Island, this man is likely one of the worst. Bill Gates is helping Jacinda Ardern implement digital ID in New Zealand, and he's likely to do the same in the United States. The goals of her new world order. Hypocrisy on climate change is a real problem. Those at the top of society have access to everything money can buy, including private planes, yachts, oceanfront residences, expensive automobiles, and the finest cuts of meat. Meanwhile, they insist that you ditch your cars in favor of bicycles, that you eat bugs, and that you have no possessions. And the world we live in is so full with hypocrisy. John Kerry's climate change advocacy includes frequent international flights. Absolutely repulsive. People in China are compelled to use their digital currency, which has an expiration date, and are not permitted to save any of it. Essentially, CBDCs are a form of enslavement. Indeed, that's what it is they are after. Their goal is to prevent you from putting any money aside. They are worried about a future where you have any sort of financial independence. If we don't act now, the world will end up like China if we don't. In honor of my third month as a cash-only customer, I'd like to share some words of wisdom from my guy TJ, who warned us about CBDC back in the day. Canadians, take note, cash is king. To me, banks pose a greater threat to our freedoms than any army ever could. If the American people ever give private banks the power to issue their currency, the resulting inflation and deflation will strip them of all their wealth and leave their children homeless on the continent their forefathers fought and won. Author, Thomas Jefferson. Year 1802. Looking back through time, you'll notice that many people had predicted the future events of today. At the time, people like that would have been thought of as visionaries. Take JFK as an example. He made an effort to explain the current state of the New World Order. The results speak for themselves. You have to persuade people to wake up to this sometime, some way. But it's tough to do so when everyone you talk to outside of the crypto world assumes you're a conspiracy theorist for trying to sell them Bitcoin. I constantly educate others about CBDCs. Nobody saw it coming. Can you estimate the number of people you know who are aware about the impending CBDC? I always recommend they check out the .gov website. True to form? Exactly. They are emphasizing the fact that this digital currency is backed by a centralized bank. This is the path the USA will take in the not-too-distant future. However, this is not obvious to everyone, and many people remain deeply dependent on the US dollar and paper cash due to its historical prominence. This is why I am confident that there will be a significant amount of resistance to the widespread adoption of digital systems. Many people will become bankrupt as a direct result of this. They would make the switch to digital currency, ensuring the eventual devaluation of their paper money. Recently, the Federal Reserve of the United States increased interest rates by 0.5 percentage points, reaching their highest level in 15 years. It would appear that Klaus Schwab was successful in his efforts to have the Great Reset implemented. The economy isn't being destroyed to this extent by mistake, but that's what they are doing. Their goal is to destroy the current financial system. Meanwhile, the first stage of testing for US dollar CBDC has been completed by the New York Fed. Accordingly, the Federal Reserve is advocating for the same policy. At first, I thought Jerome Powell was taking things very slowly. I hoped he'd take his time so that regulations could be written before a CBDC was released. There is a rationale for the Federal Reserve's and other major banks and hedge funds, such as BlackRock, enormous purchases of gold and silver here in the United States. As with the US dollar, the CBDC will be backed by precious metals like gold and silver. And that's a wrap. Further, I believe that a global shift toward a gold-backed system is inevitable. Do not forget that you had no say in the imposition of COVID quarantines. the requirement to wear protective masks inside buildings, or the introduction of vaccine travel documents. Klaus Schwab, George Soros, Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, and Robert Birx received 0 votes. Non-global leaders from the World Economic Forum who are embedded in governments around the world. They never held a vote on the Great Reset, but they did elect the correct officials to make the necessary changes. Because of this, we've been able to move this project forward. That's why there are CBDC construction projects underway in every nation. He is 100% behind the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. What do you think of his prospects for contentment upon attaining the state of having nothing material? Actually, he won't. Group funded by Soros warned the Biden administration that the Clean Air Act may be used to regulate or ban gasoline. Another thing is this: they're trying to get everyone to switch to EV because they are also on board with the World Economic Forum. You will not have the opportunity to purchase the vehicle at the end of your lease. Soros, take a look at the guy's age. He is eager to have everything set up. What are we going to do when he finally succumbs to his injuries and passes away? We'll still be forced to live under the system these jerks devised. As a result, it's likely that the origin is something wicked. He's not simply a bad guy. You can assume he is feeling a great deal of disappointment. Economic and political turmoil on the border have depleted military strength, loss of vitality or energy. Afghanistan, a haphazard retreat cities. Victims, they were victims of crime. How fast might you potentially destroy a nation? Also, please explain the one world government and why it's necessary. That was a fantastic reset. When will the American people, including Democrats and Republicans, be informed and awakened? So why not you? And it comes from both ends. Both parties in this country are at fault. Look at all the criminality that's occurring right now. I mean, disarray and interruptions are the results of their actions. Every day, they work to put you at odds with one another. You can't get along with someone who follows Fox News if you also watch CNN, and vice versa. This is because CNN viewers are fed one story and Fox viewers are told another, further dividing the population. You'll need to adapt to life in the United States and push back against the oppression you face. I assume you know that XRP is the official token of the World Economic Forum. Many people still advocate switching from XRP to Bitcoin as a means to escape from CBDCs. But the problem is, I'm going to keep holding on to my XRP because, and I've stated this many times on this channel, if you become rich when CBDC rolls out, your life may be very different than if you were poor. In a perfect world, XRP would serve as the first regulated bridge asset for the first US CBDC. We can now be sure that XRP will be used to transfer funds between CBDCs. Hence, its value must be high. In 1967, when the US dollar was still backed by gold, central banks around the world began amassing gold reserves at a rate not seen until this year. Additionally, many believe that XRP should have a gold backing. However, in my opinion, it should be able to affect the price of gold. When viewed in that light, both of those diagrams make complete sense. National currencies backed by gold exchange in hands with tokenized assets on the XRP blockchain. The creation of AMP pools would lead to an environment where XRP value would track that of gold, keeping it at a very high level. I'll keep my XRP because of this reason, but if you look at the world as it is, you'll find that the whole new world order agenda is being pushed. Take a look at all the talk and action surrounding climate change right now. Tremendous sums of money are being poured into this issue, and it's all contributing to the collapse of the current financial system. I continue to believe that the value of the US dollar will soon begin to precipitously decline. At that point, not only Bitcoin, but all crypto will experience a meteoric rise in value. Assuming that occurs, Bitcoin may enter a super cycle. That's where the speculation that Bitcoin could hit $200,000 or more originates. Given that the current financial system must essentially collapse to zero at some time, that is not impossible. When that time comes, they'll have to implement the new system. And when that happens, you can count on XRP price to rocket upwards like a rocket. In a sudden global shift, every nation will require access to liquid funds. Therefore, I am going to end this video here, because this whole process is still pressing forward every day and moving very quickly. I like to keep people aware of what's happening around the Great Reset. To be alerted immediately whenever a video is published on XRP News, please remember to hit the subscribe and notify buttons. You may see our other XRP history videos. In the meantime, you may catch us in the video below. See you out later. Bye.